The basketball world has been set ablaze on this bone-chilling January 2nd, 2026 evening. Caitlin Clark, the 23-year-old phenom who has redefined what a superstar looks like in women's basketball, has just delivered the most devastating, unflinching, and emotionally raw interview in the history of the sport. For 18 long months, she carried the pain of being left off the 2024 Paris Olympic team like a silent wound. Tonight, in a midnight premiere that caught everyone off guard, she tore that wound wide open and pointed directly at the person she holds responsible, Team USA head coach Kara Lawson. "I've been patient. I've been respectful. I've bitten my tongue until it bled," Clark began, sitting alone under a single spotlight, her voice steady but laced with a fury that made the air feel electric. But no more. Coach Kara Lawson didn't just exclude me from the Olympic team. She went out of her way to make sure I never had a fair shot. She decided I was a problem before I ever stepped foot in camp. And tonight, I'm telling the world exactly what happened. The interview dropped like a thunderbolt. Phones buzzed across the country. Group chats exploded. Sleep was abandoned. By dawn, the clip had surpassed 100 million views, shattering every record for a women's basketball-related video. This isn't gossip. This isn't exaggeration. Clark laid out a meticulous, heartbreaking timeline that has left analysts speechless, fans enraged, and executives scrambling. It began in early 2024 when Clark, coming off a rookie season that saw her shatter scoring records, dragged the Indiana Fever into relevance, and turned the WNBA into appointment television, received the invitation to Team USA training camp. She arrived in Colorado Springs wide-eyed and grateful, ready to learn from legends, ready to earn her place alongside the veterans who had dominated for a decade. Instead, she walked into an environment that felt hostile from the first whistle. The drills were archaic, Clark recalled, her hands gesturing sharply. "We ran the same flex offense that teams used in the early 2000s. No spacing, no pace, no freedom to play off instinct. Everything was scripted, rigid, controlled. When I pushed the tempo or pulled up from deep, things that win games in today's basketball, they stopped practice to correct me. Not the veterans, just me." She described how Lawson would pull her aside after every session, delivering the same message in different words: slow down, simplify, fit in. The turning point came during a closed-door meeting that Clark says lasted less than 10 minutes, but changed her life. Coach Lawson looked me in the eye and said, "Your game is spectacular for the WNBA, but it doesn't translate internationally." I asked her to explain. She said opponents would trap me, force turnovers, punish my risky passes. I reminded her that I led the league in assists while being double-teamed every night. She just smiled, this cold, dismissive smile, and said, "We've won gold without that style for 20 years. We don't need to change now." Clark's voice cracked for the first time. That was the moment I realized it wasn't about basketball. It was about ego, about control, about fear of what I represented. What Clark represented, she explained, was the future. A faster, flashier, more entertaining brand of basketball that was drawing millions of new fans to the women's game. Record television ratings, sold-out arenas, young girls filling gyms across America. But to Lawson and certain veterans, that future felt like a threat to the legacy they had built on grit, defense, and doing it the right way. Clark became the symbol of everything they resisted. She didn't stop at the meeting. Clark revealed a pattern of subtle sabotage that unfolded over weeks. Anonymous quotes began appearing in media reports during camp, quotes about a divisive rookie who didn't respect the process, who wanted special treatment, who turned scrimmages into highlight hunts. Clark says she knows exactly where those leaks originated. "They came from inside the staff," she stated flatly. "I have the screenshots, group chats where assistants joked about how keeping me off the roster would preserve team chemistry. One message called me the Instagram generation. Another said bringing me would turn the Olympics into the Caitlin show." The most damning accusation came when Clark described how the final roster was decided. She claims a small circle, Lawson and 3 trusted veterans, made the ultimate call in a late-night meeting that excluded younger committee members who advocated for her. "There were people fighting for me," Clark said. Coaches who saw the data, who knew what I could bring, but their voices were drowned out. Kara wanted players who wouldn't challenge her system, players who would execute her sets without question. I wasn't that player, so I was out. The interview shifted from accusation to heartbreak when Clark spoke about the personal toll. She described the night the roster dropped. I was in my apartment in Indianapolis. My phone started blowing up with messages, friends, family, teammates, telling me I didn't make it. I didn't cry at first. I just sat there, numb. Then I walked to my closet and pulled out the USA jersey I'd bought years ago, dreaming of this moment. I held it up, stared at it, and finally broke down. She talked about weeks of sleepless nights, about forcing smiles in public while privately questioning everything she'd worked for. For the first time in my life, I wondered if I really belonged at the highest level. If maybe they were right and I was just a college sensation who couldn't handle the real stage. But something shifted inside her. Watching the Olympics from home, seeing Team USA struggle in close games against younger, faster international teams, Clark realized the decision wasn't about her shortcomings. It was about theirs. We won gold, she acknowledged, but barely. Games that should have been blowouts were nail-biters. Opponents packed the paint because they knew we wouldn't punish them from deep. They pressured our guards because they knew we wouldn't push tempo. I watched and thought, I could have changed that. The backlash has been unlike anything women's basketball has ever witnessed. Within hours of the interview, our Fire Kara Lawson became the #1 trending topic worldwide, holding the spot for over 24 hours. Caitlin deserved better, and Justice for C22 followed closely. Fans organized flash mobs outside USA Basketball headquarters in Colorado Springs, waving signs that read, "The future was robbed, and fear change, lose gold." In Des Moines, Iowa, Clark's hometown, thousands gathered in sub-zero temperatures for a candlelight vigil, holding photos of young Caitlin draining threes in her backyard. Social media became a battlefield. Memes of Lawson as a dinosaur refusing to evolve flooded timelines. Montages of Clark's most audacious plays, set to dramatic music, racked up tens of millions of views. Young girls posted videos hitting logo shots with captions like, "This one's for Caitlin." Even celebrities weighed in. Taylor Swift, a known Fever fan, posted a simple broken heart emoji under the interview clip. LeBron James quote tweeted it with, "Respect the ones who changed the game." Angel Reese, Clark's longtime rival turned friend, went live crying, "They did her dirty, point blank." Inside the WNBA, the reaction has been overwhelmingly supportive. The Indiana Fever locker room has transformed into a fortress of solidarity. Aaliyah Boston posted a photo of the entire team wearing Stand With CC shirts. Kelsey Mitchell said in a press conference, voice shaking, "We've got her back, always." Other stars across the league spoke out. Sabrina Ionescu, "Innovation should be celebrated, not punished." Aja Wilson, who won gold in Paris, took the boldest stance yet. "Gold feels different when you know someone who should have been there isn't." The quote sent shockwaves through the veteran community. At Duke University, where Lawson continues to coach, the atmosphere is described as a war zone. Practices have been closed to media indefinitely. Players walk with heads down, avoiding eye contact with reporters camped outside the gym. Multiple recruits have requested releases from their letters of intent. One top 10 prospect publicly decommitted, posting, "I want to play for a program that embraces the future, not fears it." Duke's administration has remained silent, but sources say the athletic director is facing immense pressure from boosters and alumni demanding answers. USA Basketball is in full crisis mode. Emergency board meetings have been scheduled daily. Sponsors are furious. Nike, Clark's lifetime partner, reportedly threatened to reconsider their massive investment in the national team program if changes aren't made. Television partners are projecting catastrophic rating drops for future international events without Clark's drawing power. One executive was overheard saying, "We can't go into Los Angeles 2028 without her. It would be suicide." Analysts have been unrelenting. On every major sports network, panels devolved into shouting matches. One former coach screamed, "Kara Lawson just set women's basketball back a decade." Another legendary figure defended tradition but admitted, "We won gold, but we lost the culture war." International players have piled on. Australian star Ezi Magbagor laughed during an interview. We prepared for Caitlin. When she wasn't there, we knew we had a real shot. Clark addressed the bigger picture toward the end of the interview, turning her personal pain into a manifesto for the next generation. This isn't just about me, she said passionately. It's about every young player coming up who plays with joy, with creativity, with fearlessness. If they see what happened to me and think they have to dim their light to fit in, we've failed them. The game is evolving. The fans want pace, space, skill. They're showing up in record numbers because of it. We should be leading that evolution, not resisting it. She saved her most explosive statement for the final minutes. When asked point blank if she would ever play for Team USA as long as Lawson remained coach, Clark didn't hesitate. No, she said coldly. I won't put on that jersey for someone who tried to break my spirit. If that means never representing my country in the Olympics, then that's the price. But I know I'm not alone. There are dozens of young stars watching this, making the same calculation. USA basketball has a choice: embrace the future or lose it. The interview closed with Clark staring directly into the camera, tears in her eyes, but steel in her voice. I was ready to sacrifice everything for that gold medal. They didn't want what I bring. Fine, I'll keep bringing it to the WNBA. I'll keep selling out arenas. I'll keep inspiring little girls to shoot from the logo and play without fear. And one day, when the game has fully moved on, they'll realize what they gave up. As January 3rd, 2026 dawns, the fallout continues to grow. Lawson's camp has issued no public response beyond a brief statement about focusing on basketball. But behind the scenes, allies are abandoning ship. Veteran players who once defended the decision are suddenly silent. The narrative has flipped completely. Clark is no longer the entitled rookie. She's the martyr who exposed a broken, fearful system clinging to power. Youth basketball is experiencing a renaissance. Gyms across America report record turnout from girls inspired by Clark's courage. Coaches say they're scrapping old playbooks in favor of modern, free-flowing offenses. Parents are pulling daughters from programs that preach play the right way over play your way. The business implications are staggering. Clark's jersey has become the best-selling in WNBA history for the third straight year. Fever ticket prices on the secondary market have doubled. Networks are salivating over the drama, already planning special programming around every potential Clark-Lawson confrontation. The 2026 WNBA season hasn't even started, but it's already being called the most anticipated in league history. This scandal has transcended sports. It's become a cultural moment about generational conflict, about who gets to define excellence, about whether institutions can evolve or will die resisting change. Caitlin Clark, the polite girl from Iowa who just wanted to play basketball, has become the unwilling leader of a revolution. The question now consuming every corner of the basketball world is simple but seismic. What does Kara Lawson do next? Does she apologize? Resign? Fight back? Each path carries enormous risk. Silence feels like surrender. Defense feels like denial. Contrition feels like defeat. One thing is certain: the old era is over. The new one belongs to the players who refuse to dim their light. And leading that era, jersey number 22, blazing bright, is Caitlin Clark, unbowed, unbroken, and more dangerous than ever. The revolution isn't televised, it just dropped at midnight, and the world will never be the same.